public participation. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless participation is required by the law. This meeting will feature public comment since we just started recording. For the record, this is the September 5th, 2023 Nantucket and Manicat Harbor Plan Committee meeting. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that all attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you, and take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along the posted agenda unless I, as chair, note otherwise. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in a conversation with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. After members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment to those members of the public that have joined the meeting via Zoom. Members of the public who wish to speak must state their names and be acknowledged by and speak through the chair. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. With that, I will begin the agenda with a welcome. And Jeff, Tara, Kristen, does anybody have anything that they want to say initially? No? Okay. Can we have an approval of the agenda?
Moved.
Samantha? Samantha? Peter?
Second.
We have, I think, Dave?
Aye.
Seth?
Aye.
I think that's it, right? And the chair votes aye. Approval of the minutes. I don't think we have minutes at this point, do we?
Nope.
Okay, so we don't have any minutes to vote on at this point.
But I need to say that since I'm secretary, then I'll be writing our report as it will appear in the annual town report. So we're gonna have a whole lot of minutes real soon because that report's due November 1. So
Okay.
I'm gonna have to play catch up from June 30th up to January anyway.
About how many reports are that, do you know?
How many what?
Reports, I mean, how many minutes?
I'm probably backlogged by 6 or 7 anyway.
Okay. Okay. I have here on the agenda update on notice to proceed. Kim, are you the one that would be speaking on this, or Kristen?
Sure, I can, Kristen can fill anything else in, but that the notice proceed was approved as of 2 weeks ago. So that's good news. And now we are officially underway, even though we've already been underway for a while.
Yeah, the only thing I would add is, Steve McKenna, since we have you here, there was a question at one of the public meetings about possibly extending the planning area. And I didn't see anything in the regulations that specify whether or not if we change the planning area, whether we have to adjust the request for notice to proceed or how that works.
You know, I don't know the answer to that offhand, but I think if it's a minor modification, I don't think you need to amend the request. If it's a significant change, then we'd probably ask you to resubmit it. It'd be, you know, just kind of a, you know, it'd be approved. It just would go through the process to notice it again and slow you down. But I can follow up. Let me check because I'm not clear on the answer to that.
Perfect, thanks.
Kristen or maybe Kim, could you refresh our memories as to what was the requested additional area for the plan? I remember it came up in one of the public meetings. I just don't remember what the area was.
Yeah, I believe it was with regard to Mattakit and an expansion of the Mattakit planning area to include more of the area that floods and more of the watershed. Specifically, and I think we talked about this when we were setting the planning area, but Long Pond and but I'm not sure. I think the gentleman is planning to come to one of these meetings who made the comment. I know he was interested in capturing the whole watershed, which we probably wouldn't do for the planning area, but we can talk about it.
So I actually have an update on this. So Bruce Mandel was the one that brought it up. He submitted a bunch of materials today that we'll distribute to the group. It just came in like 4 separate emails, so we'll combine them into one to make it simple. And I know he's planning on coming on the meeting on the 18th to talk about it. From when he stopped by my office to talk about it, it sounds like they're going through kind of a Mattakit area planning. There are a couple other Mattakit plans. And he is trying to sync up all of their planning areas to have the same kind of geographic boundaries. And I tried to explain to him that the charge of the harbor plan isn't the same as those, but they are, or Bruce is seemingly want to make sure that anytime Mattakit is defined by any boundary, that it's the same boundary, regardless of the scope of what's being worked on. So I haven't looked at the like 6 or 7 different attachments he sent in about it, but we'll get it out today or tomorrow to everybody. And then I think we had planned to put it on as just a topic for discussion on the next meeting of the meeting.
Okay. And then we will decide at that point if we think it's significant and maybe Steve can tell us whether he thinks it's significant or not.
Yeah, and I think the other question too is, I know we've talked about it quite a bit, is whether or not that area, even if it doesn't get put in the area, there may still be, goals related to the harbor plan that, specifically the things like water quality or natural resources management, where we may be able to reach out of that planning area a little bit for goal development purposes, but I think we'll have to see.
Okay. Okay, so that will come up on the next meeting. The next item on the agenda, public meetings. Kim, do you want to start us off on that?
Sure, I can. Seth, did you have something you wanted to add about Mattakit or not?
I'm willing to wait till I see the materials in the next meeting.
Okay, sounds good. Great. So yeah, I can give just a quick update. First of all, thank you everyone who was able to attend. I think both of the public meetings were really successful. We had good turnouts at both. So first we were in Nantucket at the downtown Nantucket, and we had maybe 20-25 people there. And then Mattakit, we had maybe 35 or so people there. I think we got a lot of good feedback. For those that weren't able to attend, we did both of them kind of as an open forum where people provided input, and we had note takers to write down comments, and kind of went topic area by topic area and solicited comments from people. So overall, I think it was really good. There were people that we needed to follow up with, including Bruce, as Jeff was just talking about, and a few other people. One off the top of my head, one being, I think it was Tom from Smith Point, another being, I think Kathy, who works at Mattakit Marine, I believe it's Kathy, and wanted to see if anything else rung true to other people as to other people to be following up with individually.
I think it's Tom Malesko.
Is that he was from Smith Point?
No, that was Tom Erickson.
Tom Harrison.
He doesn't live this point anymore, but they did for years, and one of their houses is one of the ones that they had to move off the coast.
They haven't-
Okay.
Yeah, Tom Malesko is the charter fisherman.
Okay,
He has taken it over, but Tom did it for decades himself. I mean, decades.
Yep.
He knows the waterfront in town and in Mattocket really, really well. And
Okay.
that they're all facing out there.
So
I
let
wouldn't- I would,
the,
just finish. I wouldn't get too lost with Bruce,
okay,
okay? Because he went off topic multiple times. And I've known Bruce for 45 years, and it's very difficult these days to keep him focused on what we are doing, not all the collateral stuff that he brings up every time I talk to him.
Mhm.
So don't waste hours with Bruce.
We want his information.
We do.
Definitely, because he's really plugged in, but we all have to practice collective reining him in, and we know he's coming to our meeting, but we can't let him take over the meeting.
yep, that makes sense.
as a point of order, let me, note that, the chair has arrived, Linda Williams,
Well, you just keep running.
and take it over now.
You can keep running going.
Okay,
Sort of a free for all anyway, so is anybody, you were there at the meeting, Peter was there. You got anything else to say about that meeting? It was a different group of people.
What else is I thought about? Come back to me.
I will just say to kind of wrap up the Mattocket meeting, our office has gotten some feedback that people really appreciated having that meeting out in Mattocket. And in town with the different times and selections that between the three opportunities to have those public meetings that they were appreciative of the diversity of choices for those meetings.
Add Bill Greeter. He lives on the creeks. He's lived on the creeks his entire life.
I think if, because we had less people with format, I mean, we all got to hear all the issues as opposed to just rotating among tables and then seeing people's notes afterwards. And with the exception of Bruce, you know, everyone got a chance to say something and everybody heard it. So that's, you know.
Linda, for your benefit, because it was discussed before you came, we were talking about the notice to proceed, which we have received. So,
We got it that day.
yeah, so we're good for that. However, Bruce had come forward
Oh, yeah.
with other expanding the area that wants, asking us to consider changing the boundaries, expanding our boundaries, that what we defined as Mattocket Harbor, to include stuff that they're working on. And so I guess, Jeff, you got a series of emails on this, and this is going to be looked at, and we're going to discuss at our next meeting to see, do we go back to the state and do we have to amend what we have as the boundaries? Or Steve McKenna said he will look into it, because if it's minor, we might not have to. If we think it's more than minor, we might have to go back. So this is something to discuss, but this is what you were alluding to.
I had that in my minutes, my notes from that meeting, starred, because we had expanded it anyway from the last.
We had,
So, and I think we included most of the ditch, didn't we?
Yeah, I think the ditch in its entirety.
Yeah, I think the ditch in its entirety, which was left out of the last one, it really can't be left out of this one. And I'm not sure how much farther he wants us to go.
well, Jeff will have that for us to
Well, I
discuss.
said is he came in at the end of last week and then he emailed all that stuff this week. He essentially wants to try to get all of the other defined Mattocket areas to match the harbor plan area, so there's only one line for Mattocket proper. So
He
that's
wants to include the VR for a reason.
so
And VR is a zoning district, which has nothing to do with this. He wants to expand it into areas that have nothing to do with the harbor or flooding or anything else, from what I gather. And that's not something we can get involved with, but I think we need to take a look at what he's talking about. But I know what he's after. He's after the VR zoning group to get more control over the VR zoning group, which has nothing to do with the creeks.
VR is Village resident.
village residential, which has a 25-foot height restriction. You have to have a minimum lot size for pools. There's all kinds of little weird things in the VR out there.
Okay, well, we will discuss it at our next meeting.
Yeah. Right?
Okay, Linda?
Yeah.
Anything
Dave-
else on item number 2 on our agenda?
Dave's got his hand.
Yeah, I got a question. I gotta concur with Peter. I think the open forum, I know the one in town, it did work well. And like Peter said, you got to hear what everybody had to say on each of the different topics, which I think was a good format. I know I took a lot of notes, and I've actually had people contact me since then, so I think it was very successful.
Does anybody know if Mattocket Admiralty meets once a month?
Once a month.
Would it be a good idea for some of us to go to the Admiralty to get people that were working or out on the water when we had this? Because the Admiralty group is fairly active.
Well, we could ask somebody like Carl because he was at the meeting, hey, most of the people, were they there that day? I don't know.
No, because the women don't allow.
From my opinion, having been part of that group, I think if you invited a couple people to represent them, it'd probably be more beneficial than trying to go there to a meeting with 50 guys.
And be the only one. Yeah, that might work. I mean, my ex-husband was the president of the Admiralty at one point. I can ask Mark who
Okay.
he thinks should do it.
Okay, so you'll take care of that.
Yeah, I'll talk to Mark.
Anything more on public meetings? Okay, moving on to the online survey, Kim.
Just a quick update. We have over 400 responses. I think it's about 430 right now. So that is great. We technically have the survey open for another 10 days. And so we can give a big push over the next 10 days if you can to send out the survey and, just make sure everybody that would like to complete it is able to. I did send up, just a heads up, I sent out an email to everybody that attended the public meeting with a QR code to the survey. And so hopefully also everybody that attended the public meeting can take that. But really just a big push over the next 10 days to get it out.
Well, can I say something about that?
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah, or I guess it would be 2 weeks ago now, at the Board of Selectmen meeting, they talked about the harbor plan update and also the survey. And I was there plugging our public meeting for Saturday, but the word's getting out, and I'll represent again tomorrow night at the Selectmen's meeting and make sure that people know that it's still open and that, it's available.
Did we do the radio promo yet?
Yes, we did. On 97.7, me and Samantha. Radio personalities.
Good. And did we ever look into advertising in the Current?
I never saw anything on the
I
current.
didn't even.
I'll check with them again.
Just a side note, I guess tangentially related to this, the Shellfish Harbor Forum this Saturday, that information is nowhere. It's not on the town website. It's very hard to find in Shabman. It's just as we're talking about current, just real quick, since I have a bunch of you here. This Saturday, it's very hard to find info, so.
It's the reason why we did the buck slip and put it in everyone's property tax bills, and the Civic League has told all their members about it, and
Okay.
so we're not, denizens of social media. But that's why we did
Okay.
that.
Okay,
Where and what time?
We can revisit it later. We were talking about current, and like I said, it's not even on the town's website, just so you guys know.
Yeah, I want
Not
to
on
write it
calendar.
down now, put it on my,
I don't even know the right info.
we don't know where or what time.
Shab will have to get it for you. I don't even know.
Saturday, 9:30, community room, War Fairgrounds Road.
MPD.
Just since we're talking about harbors and runoff and things.
I'll put that on my page and I'll post it up on the other two.
Okay.
Okay, any additional distribution, Kim?
Kim, you wanted to close it down on the 15th?
Yeah, that's what we had said. I mean, it is a bit of an arbitrary date. I don't want to say that because I don't want to, you know, not get it out. But if we needed to, we could extend it a couple more weeks. If there was a reason to.
How many responses does Ipswich have?
What's that?
How many responses does Ipswich have?
Oh, yeah, let's hold. I think they had about, was it like about a 400 and I feel like it was like 430. And I think that's about what we have right now. Yeah. So, you know, over the next 10 or so days, if we give it a bit more of a push, we'll beat them.
Okay, going on to the next item, environmental justice, community engagement. Kristen?
Yeah, thank you. This is actually one reason why we might consider extending the survey date. Jeff and Kim and I have been talking about how to do engagement with the environmental justice communities on island. We have a meeting, gosh, I think it might be tomorrow, with Roberto Santa Maria, who's actually a member of this committee that I don't believe he's ever attended a meeting. And somebody else. Jeff, who was the other person that you invited?
Oh, Jericho.
Our Director of Human Services.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're having a meeting to strategize on how best to do engagement with them, whether it makes sense to have a public forum like we've had elsewhere around the island, or if there's a better way to engage. And so we'll be looking to them to give us some insight. We definitely want to make sure that they all have an opportunity to share the survey. So again, we may extend it based on how that conversation goes. If anybody has any specific thoughts, has engaged these groups before and has ideas about what's worked well, we'd certainly take those suggestions.
What are the groups?
Well, so that's the tricky part, is that they're mapped. We don't actually know who lives there. I don't know, Jeff, if you have an idea of who's actually in those areas.
Bucket is mapped for minority inclusion, targeting residents that English is a second language.
Right. Now, we have a way of getting to them. If we do the survey, obviously in Spanish, which we've talked about.
I think the website does automatically translate it.
Yeah, but you have to reach those guys at the Catholic Church, various other places to get them.
Right.
And the other way to do it is school opens next today.
Today.
They can always send home or put out on their website, you know, send the notice home to parents in Spanish, because they have to do it in Spanish and Portuguese and English and whatever other language is going on at the school. There's like 20 of them. But the school could put out something to the Spanish speaking parents. So somebody should probably have a conversation with the superintendent's office on our behalf. That's the best way to get a hold of them. Otherwise, you go through the Catholic Church. That's how we always reached out, and Human Services always went through the Catholic Church.
Great.
The Jericho. He has all of those resources.
Yeah.
We had mentioned at one point doing a Zoom only public forum, and then we ended up putting a lot of effort into the survey. I've had a number of people, anytime we post about the forums, reach out saying, will there be a Zoom option? I've directed everyone to the survey, but I just wanted to bring it up. Do we want to consider doing a Zoom only, or wait until the winter when there's actually something to report in a Zoom forum?
Not a bad idea. Is
Yeah,
that
when
something
did
we
a
want to
Zoom-
tackle
when we did
now?
our first public forum, public meeting for Coastal Resilience Advisory Committee, we got over 160 people.
I don't know when we want to stop taking feedback and move into the, like, the bulk of the work, but. You know, if you give people another 2 weeks to kind of get into like the back to school, back to office flow. You know, a Zoom forum could be, I'm thinking like end of September.
Yeah,
Um,
so keep the survey open until September 30th and have
Yeah.
a Zoom meeting that week before that.
Right.
Everybody should be settled by the third week of
Right.
September,
Does
that sound
people that
feasible?
couldn't go.
physically, yeah.
it's just kind of the one last box to check that says that we've truly done our due diligence of taking in feedback, and we've done. You know, we've done spring, we've done summer, we've done town, we've done Mattakit, like, that would kind of be the last box to check of like, we have truly done everything we can to hear from everyone.
That's a great idea.
And I think we'll pick up some people that just didn't
Yeah.
want to go out to Mattakit or,
Yeah.
Especially if
So-
we do it at like 6 or 7,
Yeah.
7 o'clock at night when everybody's, you know, kids are
Exactly.
out or
yeah,
doing homework. and
that's a good
stuff.
idea.
Is that something you guys want to work with Jeff on, Kim?
Yeah, we can definitely do that. And I don't think, I think we could probably run it very similar to the ones that we did in person. Just kind of give some background as to where we're at, and then depending on how many people show up, we can do breakout rooms that are the different topics, and people can go into those breakout rooms and provide their feedback, and then they can also switch between breakout rooms if they want to. So
I like rooms personally, I think more people. I talked to a bunch of people after the Great Harbor one, and they didn't feel comfortable speaking because they felt like they maybe didn't, necessarily know what to say. Where I don't know, with Zoom, if you get really more than 30 people on a Zoom sitting around waiting for everyone else to speak is kind of a bummer. So I think that in the Zoom breakout rooms are so easy.
The short-term rental one did not go well.
Well,
I was one of the
but
leaders
short-term
in
rentals,
one
like,
of those
really a
rooms,
whole
and
other
it
category.
sucked. It really was.
I
can't say
thought-
it sucked enough on my side.
I thought that, our last two meetings at Great Harbor and Mattakit, the fact that we had everybody, I don't think anybody felt like they couldn't speak. And I think breakout rooms are a little, this is my opinion, a little tricky because you may want to have something to say in more than one breakout. And, but I sense that anybody who had an opinion was speaking at
Just raise
both
your
of
hand.
those meetings.
But there could have been people at those two meetings who didn't feel comfortable getting up. It just, as casual as the Admiralty Club was, there could have been people there who had something to say but couldn't articulate it.
I didn't get that
I
impression
didn't get that
at all,
impression.
because you and I, we were sitting in the back, we could see who was speaking. And they're cumbersome, people who are not necessarily Zoom literate are gonna have an issue going from one to the next, and I ran into that at the STR one, and I had all negative people in my group, which is great, because we're all negative towards it. But there wasn't a variety of people speaking in that little group, so I'm not a fan of it. I mean, I suppose we can play it by ear and see how many people show up.
Yeah, maybe that's what we do. I mean, we played it by ear this last time.
Yeah, Great Harbor, we were set up for breakouts, we didn't need it.
Right. we
Yeah.
didn't
So I think
need
we planned for it, and
Yeah.
then we 86 it if it's a small group.
Yeah, can I say, I still think that the open forum works better. That's just my opinion. I think that, if you do it topic by topic, everybody gets to participate for every topic if they want to.
Which is
And what somebody says always triggers another comment or another question from somebody else, which I
Mhm.
think was beneficial.
That's the way Mattakit went, because they went down the list of topics and those.
Well, that's what we did at Great Harbor too.
Yeah, I mean, that worked out well. So let's
I think so.
plan to go with that form, that type of thing. But we should go ahead right now then and extend the response time to September 30th and not off the 15th.
Should we right now try to figure out a date that works for people for an online session, date and time? Because if we wait 2 weeks for our next meeting, then it's probably already going to be too late.
The week of the 18th or the 25th gives us some time to plan and get word out.
When are our Concom meetings? Jeff,
Working on it.
are we the 14th and the 28th?
I've got two meetings on the 25th and the 26th at night that I can't.
Yeah, we don't want to do it on the night of the select board either, which is the 27th. And I think we're the 28th, aren't we?
How do people feel
Yes.
about 18 or 19?
I can't ever do Tuesdays.
How do people feel about 18?
Planning board is the 11th, so 18, Monday 18th works for me, but what about everybody else?
Me, right now.
Okay, so it's either, I can do Thursday, the 21st, but no, I can't. I got stuff. The 18th works for me. Does that work for everybody else?
I can't on that.
Where are you? Sarah?
What time would it be? Like 4 o'clock or?
No, it's gotta be after work.
Okay.
When are you back online?
20th or 21st.
For parent, like for people with kids, what, like, I don't even know what time kids get home from school. Like with sports and stuff starting up, like what's a good time for a parent on a Monday? Like an early beginning of the week?
After dinner. Or after they get the kids from the night school.
Anytime from 5 to 7, I would say.
I wouldn't even go as
Fair.
early as 5. They don't pick up the kids from the boys and girls club until 5. So it has.
19th, I'm available.
Don't do it because of me, like seriously.
Well, you've been on from the sailboat before. Depending
Wait,
on where
you're
you
gonna be
are.
sailing?
Maine.
Is that leisure?
If things don't go bad.
If the weather's bad, you're here.
So 6 to 7:30 a good time? Oh, other thought, we tell people it's an hour and a half. There's like a mental block of like, oh, that's a quick, easy meeting. 2 hours, people are like, I'm not gonna commit 2 hours, so I think if we do like 6 to 7:30, that might feel a little better.
6, I still think it's too early. It's right in the middle of kids getting dinner.
Too bad this is an issue, they can wait,
Yeah, but having been there with 8 kids in sports in that school.
make them watch before they have dinner.
Yeah,
So I Zoom all the time at home while my kids are eating and stuff.
She does.
What about 7? Isn't that sort of after?
Sparkle ball.
is 7.
What about 6:30?
Perfect.
Yep.
Then they don't think it's too late and then over by 8. Type of thing.
I have friends at the Vinyl Haven Library, so you can stop by when you're sailing up there, and, you know.
You can stay in his cottage with no indoor plumbing.
So are we confirmed on Monday, the 18th at 6:30 PM?
That works. Seth did note he can't make it on the 18th. There's an NPEDC meeting. I don't know if that would conflict with other people.
What
I
was the
think
time?
Seth, what time is that meeting?
6:30?
That
It's
meeting-
at 5, but they tend to go for a couple hours. It will probably go to at least 7:30.
It shouldn't.
They've been reliably like 2 to 2.5 hours over the past year.
Which is stupid. When I was on it, they went for an hour and a half.
I agree they could be shorter, but they're not.
Well, I think the main thing is
Get the
that
public.
we've got enough people who are familiar with what's going on here on the committee. That if we don't have a couple of people, we're trying to get information. We're in receive mode, not transmit mode.
Right.
So I think we're okay.
Okay.
Yeah, the other thing we can do is record it and make a copy available on the website for folks to watch, and then they can always provide additional comments. So
Yeah,
Maybe,
that's what I'm saying.
what we might do, rather than shutting down, you say that, Kristen, maybe rather than shutting down the survey, wait until after that Zoom meeting, because people might,
Yeah, we'll
Really
extend
add
to
something.
the 30th.
To the September 30th.
beyond, okay, September 30th,
Yeah.
okay, fine, yeah,
Yeah, that's perfect.
good, that would work.
There's grass out there to mow.
So we have to post this as a public meeting and all that stuff for the 18th, right?
Yeah, so I can make a flyer, kind of do what we did with the other ones. I'll send you guys all a calendar invite, just so you have it on your calendars.
Okay.
We'll have another meeting, a committee meeting on the 18th. Where we can deal with last minute issues, but I'll try to just, I think it will all be very similar to what we've already done.
Send us the flyer so we can post it everywhere.
Yep. That sounds good.
Cool.
Could I make a comment on, I heard about the environmental justice, community outreach process. I think someone told me, because we have other projects where we're gonna have to go through that as well, and I think someone said that, and again, this is not confirmed, but that the Lawrence Sinatra and the solar project had to go through some, had to do that. And I don't know if it's the same, because this is, if it's the same process as with a project as with a, a harbor plan update, but that would be a person to ask, I guess.
I'll ask her.
How they did it.
Every day. I see her almost every day. I'll ask her.
And I think it also includes, in addition to Spanish-speaking, Wampanoag people.
Okay. I'll ask her. Great.
Okay, folks, could we go to number 5, the Woods Hole mapping tool? Kristen, can you explain what this is all about?
Yeah, we had hoped to roll this out with the survey and it just didn't work out with the timing. But Woods Hole Group put together this fantastic online tool that we can use to gather information. It's sort of just another, we have all these public meetings and the survey, but this is a really great way to get spatial information. And I did send the link. I don't know if anyone had an opportunity to look at it, but if I can share my screen, which is more a technical challenge on my end than should be. Let's see. Can you all see that?
Yep.
Okay, so this is the tool as it stands now, and Woods Hole Group is looking for feedback. There'd be an introductory email that would go along with this to get it to the link, but assuming that you're just coming to this for the first time, you get this sort of welcome. This is why we're doing this, or what this tool is all about. And then they have some instructions about how to navigate within this tool. And I thought the instructions were pretty clear. Every time I do this, I try to think, would my mom be able to figure this out? And I think she would. So we have the legend, the data layers, and how to actually create dots. And it gives you instructions on how to do everything. And then it explains too what all these crazy colors are. And so I would invite you all to look at the tool. I'll walk through just an example of it too, but I'd invite you all to look at the tool in the next day or two and give us feedback that we can share with Woods Hole Group. It might be nice to have this at the ready for that meeting on the 18th to share in a link and even do a quick demonstration to walk people through it if you guys feel like that would be useful. Just real quick, so what you have here, if you actually click around, it tells you that there's basically 3 things to provide. There's your concerns. Can you guys see my mouse?
Yep.
So yellow is the concerns. This blue is specifically comments related to flooding. And then the pink is more looking forward. And then they have what the different colors are for the MCFRM data, which they do explain down here exactly what MCFRM is. It's kind of confusing, but hopefully people understand that generally it means things will flood or things might not flood. And then I should back out actually and show you what it looks like. So they've highlighted the planning areas really to drive home the fact that this is where we're looking for. So if we're going to expand the planning areas, that might need to change. And then if you actually want to make a comment, you go to this little editing tool. And if we wanted to say, for example, this area floods a lot, or we're worried about flooding here, you just click that dot. What type of flooding do you see? So is it storm related or is it tidal related? Let's say it's tidal related. When did you see the flooding? You can put in dates or you can skip that. And then you have space to just write in whatever you see or whatever you want to see. And then if you have thoughts on the specific adaptation strategy you might want to see, then you can add that there. Close it. And then the dots appear. So the fun thing is that nobody can delete anything, but everybody can see what others have written. And so it might, spark people's ideas. So you can click around and see what, like I said, what other people have written. So for the concerns, the questions are, what category does your concern fall in? And so they give the ones that we've been using. What suggestions do you have? And I like their little verbs. I don't know that they cover everything, but there is the other. And then again, you can just put in whatever you want. And then for Nantucket Future, the options are, would you want a feature added or removed? And you just select, and then again, any comments you want popped up.
Interesting.
So that's the tool. Did anybody have any thoughts? I know it's kind of hard if you haven't looked at this leading up to it. If you have any comments or anything that you would like to pass along to Woods Hole Group.
Can you add a picture or a video to your comments?
You can't right now. We could put that in the intro email though. That's a good suggestion.
Sometimes a picture, like, or a little short clip of what's going on is so much more, it's all you need.
Yeah, and if that picture or video gets geolocated, so it showed up as an icon at that location, you click on it and know what's going on right there. That'd be huge. It's a good idea.
Yeah, we can ask them if they can do that. If not, I think we should encourage people to send us those, and maybe we can add them retroactively.
You don't realize how long.
I don't know that you're going to get a lot of response to this.
This is
I mean,
complicated.
it's kind of interesting, maybe. I don't know. It just.
I know they got a fair amount of response on the Culture Resiliency Plan version of this. So I think there's a number of people that.
They're already well versed in this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, when we had our public meeting at the Nantucket Hotel, there was a guy who lived on Brant Point, had a house on Brant Point, and he tried to take over the coastal resilience table with his insistence about how quickly CO2 was going to go underwater, and he was adamant about getting the point across, and had to spray water on him and Vince, to get them to just chill out. So there are people that are paying attention.
Question, can we, with this same setup, like, okay, so we're gonna take in all the info now. When we get to the end, could we use the same tool the opposite way? Like, could Woods Hole help us take a map, and instead of people putting things, we put things like when we have all of our plans in 2024 in this next plan, could we put it together in an interactive map like this, so that when we roll it out to the community to see what the work we've done, you could be like, okay, I wanted to see like what they've decided to do for Hither Creek, and you can zoom in, see what dots come up. Like, can they help us in the reverse?
Well, it can refer back to the section of the plan. Look
But
at
it'd
the
be
plan.
cool on
It would, but
an
it's for a
interactive-
detailed thing.
Yeah.
Refer back to section 5
yeah.
or section 10, and they can go read the actual language and the plan itself.
Yeah.
So that's a reverse integration. That's great.
Yeah, Sam, they're not scoped to do that, so we would have to ask them. The alternative is that maybe we can find a student once we're done to create a story map, which is sort of that idea. You have your map and you can click on different dots, and then information comes up, and it could be the recommendations. So either way, we can try and find a way to make that happen.
I think that'd be really,
Great idea.
really cool to show people what we've been doing.
That's a great idea.
The story map for dummies.
Okay, guys, I know because we've got a time thing here.
Okay.
Next steps, I think the first item is interviews.
Yeah, so we're still conducting interviews, and we just put together a new list of people to interview, including some of you all. So just stay tuned to your emails. We will want to interview all of you at some point, but we have some that we'll start with and then move on to others. So I'll be sending out an email to see if we can set up a time for an interview in the next couple weeks, just to, I know you guys provide feedback during these meetings, but just to make sure that we're really capturing your interest in the plan.
Can you send us a list of all of the people on your interview list and who
Yep.
you interviewed? So we
Yep.
don't redundant.
Yeah, yep. I can do that.
Okay. Anything?
Anything else? I have something I would like to introduce. This might be controversial, but we'll keep
Never,
it,
failure,
we'll keep
never.
it under 5 minutes. I think there ought to be something done. I don't know whether we highlight it or we get involved. But as of this fall, we're not going to have a ship's chandlery on the island.
Yeah, that was on my
And,
list.
and I think that this is something that we're talking about the harbor, we're talking about the boating, we're talking about everything. And if you can't get something as simple as an oil filter on the island for your boat, or, you know, something that's marine related and you can't get a Marine Home Center.
Or a scallop break.
Or scalloping, this is, I think it's a real issue. And I think, I've talked to the few people, I think that there might be a way to do this. I mean, God knows that we saw how Tidal Creek did in the first 3 years. I mean, everybody seemed to think they were very successful. And I think that, and we also know that Rick Kodlak was having conversations in the background, I guess, was it with the land bank? I mean, I don't know, but I think that there is something there that we could be a facilitator to help something to do this, but I don't think anybody thinks that not having a chandlery on the island is a good idea.
What about, Rick, what about talking to Sustainable? Because it's downtown, it's a vital service, and this is something that Wendy typically gets involved with.
That's certainly a possibility.
Wendy is remain.
You mean remain?
Remain.
Well, I mean, but
yeah.
I mean, you know, it could be carp. I mean, the fact of the matter is he's running he's got a very sophisticated boat basin down there. And with all with all sorts of customers tied up, and there will be no way for his customers to get basic stuff.
You want me to reach out to him?
When that thing appeared on social media, the guy, I don't know what his name is, who runs it, was saying how he was gonna have to leave the island because of this. I traced a thread all the way through, and somewhere in there, it says that Rick is working something out so that entity will continue to exist. That's the last that I read about it. And has something changed? I don't
Well,
know.
Rick's got an apartment on the second floor, which he
Right.
goes and he stays in.
Right.
Because he rents the other one out on Bartlett. But if whoever runs it can live on the premises.
No, I mean, you know, if you read, you know, if you believe what you read in the Yankee, Mike Allen is the guy that owns the business. Noah, I can't pronounce his last name, but Noah is the guy that ran the shop.
And Davidson
Essentially,
before
Noah's
that.
going back to Maryland.
And Davidson before that, but he retired. He had some health issues.
So I think that there are people like what you identified that might be willing to be part of the solution here. But I think this committee could actually be a focal point to help out.
Well, I think it's something we should get involved with. Maybe somebody can reach out to Rick.
I don't think,
This is something that we could prioritize in the plan, right? We can prioritize commercial businesses that we want to have in the harbor in this area, right?
Yeah.
And so would would that be categorized as like a marine supply store? What would that be?
Well, in the 2009 plan, we hit commercial water dependent uses pretty hard.
Yeah.
And we explained in there in great detail how important these types of things are and why we needed to keep them and promote them. So,
I mean, I think we'll have to think about prioritization. I'm sure there'll be other things too. So if that's like the paramount thing, then we should, see that.
Well, I don't think that we should say that we've got it on our plan, and so when the plan is published 18 months from now,
Now what?
I think it's something that if maybe we individually know certain individuals that might want to be part of the solution, maybe we can do that just on an individual basis. But there are enough people in this meeting on this committee that could have some of these quiet conversations and not wait for 18 months.
I'm working with.
you can't, it will resolve itself or not sooner than 18 months.
Yeah.
And as far as CARP and NIR is concerned, they raised the rent so high for Dave Tonkin and the Chandlery in the boat basin that they pulled out. So,
Well, he did that with knowing that he had Brant Point Marine down the
Yeah.
street.
well,
Let me talk to Steve and.
we might
John,
have.
And let me, I'm working with Remain on something else right now for CPC. Let me reach out to Remain. I'll reach out to Steve and John. And then somebody needs to talk to Rick Kodlak about what exactly is going on. Do you have anybody? Dave, do you have a contact with with Rick?
Yeah, I mean, I can talk to Rick, but I mean,
I mean,
Rick's gonna play it close to the vest as far as any future down there.
We should
Yeah.
look at his, I'm pretty sure his chapter 91 license is predicated on him continuing to have a marine supply store in that building. So, but eventually, someday, Washington Street is gonna get flooded, not like in a year, but, over time. And so I think having something in the plan that prioritizes that need in, the redevelopment project, I think would be a good thing.
well, it's good that his first floor is probably 4 feet above grade at the moment. And if it has flooded through the boat part of it, and it's got kayaks and all that crap in there, it doesn't matter. But his first.
You also got to remember that building, the cellar of that building is built just like a boat.
Yeah.
I was there when they did it, and it's built just like a boat. So he was thinking ahead when he did that. That doesn't mean the water doesn't blow through the garage, but I'm talking about the cellar where all the storage is.
Okay, well, anyhow, I think
I think it's
the
a good
issue is
idea.
on the table.
Yep.
I think this is something that we can deal with at a committee level and an individual level. But as far as, in my opinion, I think to have a waterfront where people on the water have to wait 3 days for FedEx for West Marine is not an answer.
Just waders, scallop things, sou'westers, I mean,
Totally. Yeah.
hooks, lures. I mean,
Okay.
it's just insane.
We've identified the problem.
Well, I'll pull his.
If I may, thank you. So yeah, Jeff in his office has every chapter 91 license that exists on Nantucket. I'm sure he would pull the file for you and see what it says. If it says that a marine supply store is required, then trust that the marine supply store will be there in some capacity. We can't really do anything other than that, but if
I'm
if
trying
the
to pull a chapter 91 license right now to just take a quick look, but
okay, if the owner of the property is required to do that by license, they can't not do it unless they amend their license, which is very hard to do. So let's start there. And then on the plan prioritization, I agree with Jesse saying that, we should put this thing into the plan. That's not going to solve the current issue, but that location is not probably a long-term viable location for any type of store or any type of building, honestly. So we should put it into the plan that this type of store should be prioritized so it could be put elsewhere. Thanks.
Okay, so we'll look up the chapter 91, which I can get on the registry also.
I already have.
Okay.
Okay.
And Dave talks to Rick, I'll talk to Carp and John, and I'll broach the subject with Remain. They
Okay.
usually like.
Well, she has
likes to
11
own-
boats, so
She likes to own her.
yeah, but I think the latest count is Wendy has 11 boats, as I heard. So she has an vested interest.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else? Anybody?
Great, bringing it up.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
So
Peter?
moved.
Second, Samantha second,
All in favor?
by roll call,
I in favor?
Linda, Samantha,
Aye.
okay, we've got Seth, and we have Dave
I
and Jesse.
Aye.
Any other members I overlooked?
Yourself.
Myself, aye. Meeting is adjourned.
Thanks, we accomplished so
Thanks,
much
everyone.
on meetings.
Thank you, everyone.
That,
There's no
the other
bullshit.
meeting.
I just had my laptop plugged in